Worry lines can run deep. With increasing commodity prices, higher price volatility, and rising input costs, America's farmers rely on crop insurance to protect their crops and livestock. Crop insurance, providing peace of mind now and for the next generation of agriculture.
Congressman Francisco Canseco, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about the 23rd District of Texas?
It's a huge district. To give an idea, it has almost 800 miles of Texas-Mexico border.
Wow. What are some of the types of agriculture in it?
We have a huge amount of agriculture. You name it, we have it.
Mm-hmm.
We have specialty crops in the winter garden area. We have cattle, sheep, and goats. We are the number 5 goat producer in the nation in the 23rd Congressional District. We have corn, sorghum, wheat, cotton, you name it, we've got it. So we've got a lot of pecan crops too, huge amount of pecan orchards. So it's a very diverse agricultural area.
How are they being affected by the drought right now?
Severely.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that corn just died
right
there in the fields. Many of the products have not come up. And of course, our sheep, goat, and cattle industry has suffered enormously. Not to mention that, but a year ago, on top of the drought, we had huge wildfires that devastated a lot of that farm and ranch land and left family farms and ranches with people selling off their seed cattle or their seed crops. And it was pretty devastating to agriculture and to the cattle and ranching business.
Is a 5-year farm bill the best way to give them some certainty?
I think a 5-year farm bill is the best thing around. I'm a strong supporter of Chairman Lucas's bill and his efforts. We were not able to get it through, so what we did yesterday is that we filed a bill, or we passed a bill through the House of Representatives that takes care of the drought and gives drought relief to a lot of our farmers and ranchers, not just in the 23rd District of Texas, but throughout the country, because there are many other states that are suffering from this terrible drought.
As you know, the next hurdle is the Senate. What do you think will be the process when recess is over and we come back in September with either a drought relief bill or a 5-year farm bill?
You know, I can't predict that right now, but I will tell you this, that I hope that the Senate does the right thing for the American people. And I expect and I hope to have a 5-year agricultural bill before the President for signature. That is the way to go. It is a very, very good farm bill. It is something that's going to be able to help our agricultural business, whether it's livestock or crops, fiber or food, and it's going to be good for our country. So I hope that they do the right thing when we come back.
Other than this legislation, what are some specific issues you hear the most from your ag constituents?
You know, that's a very good question, because it comes down to 2 points. Over-regulation and the death tax. Mm-hmm. You know, farmers and ranchers work very hard, day in and day out. In many cases, it's a family affair. Their spouses, their children, their grandchildren, they're all participants in it. And when a member of that family passes away, what it does is that it puts in jeopardy the family farm, the family ranch. Something that is not cash rich, but very land rich, all of a sudden gets put on the auction block to pay taxes, very onerous taxes. And many times this is a double or a triple taxation in order to distribute the wealth. This is hard working people that for generations had built something up by the sweat of their brow. And it's a love that's passed on. So we're looking at, with tax hikes coming up, we're looking at the death tax coming up to a 55% and death tax, over $1 million in value. And that is disastrous. That's not good. That's why I have supported a bill in the House that would completely do away with the death tax. It's totally unnecessary. Secondly, we have an enormous amount of regulations that affect a lot of our farmers and ranchers, from anything from trying to regulate puddles and pools of water and streams, regulate farm dust in the air, and everybody knows that dust is a way of life out in a farm. And the list goes on and on and on. And what we've passed is a red tape reduction act this month in the Congress, and that will go a long way to reducing the amount of regulations that right now are choking the farmers and the ranchers. So those two things are the things that affect us the most.
How concerned are Texas ranchers about aerial surveillance from the EPA?
You know, it's a good question. I think that it's an issue of privacy, and it's an issue of making sure that no one comes up in the air and starts surveilling what we're doing on our farms and our ranches. It's just an invasion of privacy, and it's just downright un-American.
Another regulation issue that people are concerned about is the Dodd-Frank Act, and a lot of members have encouraged CFTC to make provisions that make exceptions for ag cooperatives and smaller financial institutions. Has the Commission eased your concerns at all about how that act might impact agriculture?
It has, but very recently.
Okay.
What the CFPB, which is a child of the Dodd-Frank Act, and let me stop right there and give you a little background. I'm on the Financial Services Committee. I've been in banking most of my professional life. I was on the board of the Hondo National Bank in Hondo, Texas, Medina County, Texas, and we did an enormous amount of farm and ranch loans. And I know how important the financial side is to the farmer and to the rancher at all ends. And what a farmer does, and a rancher does, is that he protects himself with crop insurance and also with hedging in order to make sure that if there is a downturn in the crop or the product that he's producing, he doesn't get hit too hard, and he has at least some insurance there. So what the CFPB, which is a child of this Dodd-Frank law, did was that it tried to regulate these private ranchers and farmers from in hedging to make sure that they had an adequate amount of margin, which would have raised the costs enormously to a lot of our products and put a lot of people out of business. So after we worked very, very hard with the CFPB and a number of hearings, they finally just recently agreed to relent on that regulation and exclude small producers and independent people from this regulation.
Okay, and switching tracks a little bit to trade, the WTO Russia is joining the WTO, and that's important for agriculture, especially our meat and manufacturing exports. What status are we at in Congress with establishing permanent normal trade relations with Russia?
Well, right now we've got, first of all, I'm a signer along with 74 other members of Congress with Representative Billy Long from Missouri in order to urge the President and the administration to move this along so that we can get that status for Russia. It is very important for our trade, it's very important for our agriculture that we do so. At this stage, we're making the push, and we'll have to see where it comes out. But
okay.
It is something very, very important to our agriculture and to our trade.
What are some of your other goals that you'd like to accomplish in the few days left in this term?
Well, there are a lot of things that want to accomplish. Unfortunately, we're very politicized right now. Mm-hmm. And what we have to do is we have to hear from the American people as to what it is that they want, and that's going to come in November. I think what's important is that we make sure that we lift the burden on not just our farmers and our ranchers, but on all of the American people on these onerous taxes that are going to come up on January 1. Taxes are going up.
To learn more about the Congressman's work, you can visit canseco.house.gov. Congressman Francisco Canseco, thank you for joining us today.